and about 200 to 300 micrograms twice a day. Very helpful. Vitamin C. Vitamin C helps with the collagen matrix, and when you help with the collagen matrix, it helps these little blood vessels, arteries, and veins maintain their elasticity. So when they maintain the elasticity, they don't get hardened, so which also improves the circulation as well. Alpha-lipoic acid reduces blood sugars and also can help with some of that diabetic neuropathy that we talked about, that burning on the feet, or the nerve issues that we see with impotence. Vanadyl sulfate aids insulin's ability to move glucose into the cells. Kind of opens up those insulin receptors a little bit so that they can receive the sugars that are being delivered to them. There are other ones as well, cinnamon, garlic, aloe vera juice, that can actually help lower the blood sugars and actually mildly increase insulin production, provided that the pancreas is in good functioning order. So these are ways to do that. With diabetics, we also see what's called nerve glycation. It's a dying of the nerve. It's a film that kind of forms around the nerve where it cannot feel or receive information anymore. There's a product called carnosine that reduces this glycation buildup on those nerve cells. Then there are other types of products as well, quercetin, bromelain, bitter melon, that I see some of the physicians recommending to help their clients with lowering sugars. Some of these products, literally, I've seen personally in owning health food stores, lowering sugars anywhere from 50 and sometimes 100 points. So, you know, in combination, depending on what your side effects are, based upon descriptions, and you can do some of your own research or talk to a knowledgeable healthcare professional about supplements as well. This is the end of our segment pertaining to diabetes. We're going to move on to our next segment, which is a few strength training movements that can help some of those saggy arms and maybe help the arms look a little bit prettier. Hi, welcome to the fitness segment of this show. I want to show you a couple of exercises to help tone the biceps and the tricep muscles. Very simple, basic exercises. You can either utilize a standard weight, or you can utilize something simple around home like a water bottle. The first exercise I'd like to show you works for the flabbies in the wind, as some of my older customers put it. This little muscle down here, triceps are what these muscles are called down here. And they're supposed to have a nice, pretty little cut, non-flabby type of look. And an exercise that I do and have done as a trainer and showed other people as a trainer is a simple exercise in which you bend over and you secure yourself right on a table, and you kick this back. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get this muscle to harden and to hold a little stiff. If you have relatively little strength, you can grab something like a can or a water bottle, and the key is just to kick it back and to kind of hold it there for about 15 or 20 repetitions. And be sure to work the other arm. We like to be able to have balance in our weight training. Also, too, to get a nice balanced arm, we like to hit, and that's bodybuilding terms or weightlifting terms, we like to work the bicep muscles for balance as well, because you want it to look pretty and balanced. Standard bicep, and once again, you can either use a nice weight, and you just simply have it next to your arm in this fashion, and you curl it up, okay? And you want to keep your wrist nice and straight, okay? None of this flopping the stuff around with the wrists. And once again, you can grab 2-pounders or 3-pound weights, and in other segments in the show, I'll show you how to use bands. But if you just simply curl up with whatever weight you can and kind of squeeze the muscle at the top of the action, then what you're going to get is you're going to get a nice, pretty little bit of bump here, so it looks like, once again, that it's just not a flabby type of muscle. And that concludes the fitness portion of our Fit and Healthy Today show. Next, we will have research analyst Ralph Turchiano filling us in on some of the latest research out there. Hi, welcome to the research segment of our show. I'd like to introduce Ralph Turchiano, our research analyst, for some latest, greatest information available to the public.
Hi, my name is Ralph, as she introduced, and the information I'd like to present to you is research that anyone can do. This information that's open out there. You have the internet, you have the newspaper. Just don't believe me or take my word for these things, but actually reinforce my data by researching yourself. The first thing I'd like to open up with is basically some warnings out there and things that we take for granted which aren't necessarily in our environment anymore. The first one I'd like to bring to your attention is iodine. All right, now since we iodized salts in the 1920s and 30s, we haven't had much of a problem with iodine deficiencies. However, with the reduction of iodine in our feedstock, with the reduction in iodine in our baking, and the replacement of iodine in 1982 with bromides, and the reduction of iodine in our salt, our iodine levels have been declining. This is important because it's responsible not only for metabolism, for proper brain development of our children. The Environmental Science and Technology Services just recently did an analysis of the iodine in our salt supply, which right now is only one of the remaining supplies of iodine in our diet. They discovered, out of the 88 samples that they took, over 47 of them did not meet the requirements for iodine at any level. Keep that in mind. Also, at the same time, too, many prenatals and postnatal vitamins do not have the iodine necessary for proper brain development of our children. The second part I'd like to get into is basically something in regards to prostate health. Now, this is going to kind of turn the prostate world on its ears. The first thing I'd like to bring to your attention, and it is important, over 18 studies that the National Cancer Institute had done since January 29th, they found that testosterone, which was normally seen as a main antagonist in prostate cancer, had no relationship whatsoever. They looked at over 6,438 controls and found testosterone nor estrogen played an impact on prostate cancer whatsoever. In fact, Dr. Paul Godley, basically of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, stated, "It is time to get out of this hypothesis and move on with the difficult task of analyzing and characterizing more modifiable risk factors." Which leads us to the next story. Basically, the University of Rochester had discovered, since testosterone had dropped out of the picture, they found an interesting relationship between zinc and cadmium. Now, what they did is they noticed that zinc on its own really didn't impact prostate cancer much at all. What they did discover is this. When a person had high cadmium levels in the blood, this is a metal which is normally found in pesticides, around farming areas, of course, smoking, food preservatives, and paints. When cadmium levels were elevated and zinc levels were low, prostate cancer was on the rise. They found out zinc's relationship to this issue was simple. Zinc stimulated the production of a protein which took cadmium out of the body. And that's what made the big difference in basically reducing prostate cancer scores. Men who had high cadmium, low zinc, had a higher risk and incidence of prostate cancer. Men that had high zinc, moderate cadmium, or high cadmium had a much lower risk, as the body was able to handle the cadmium toxicity. They looked at over 219,000 cases to review that. After that, what I look at too, when we're talking about other issues, is also in regards to dementia. Folic acid, for example. Once, off to the side note, say not having much of a difference in regards to cardiovascular issues and things along those lines. Well, they discovered that men who had low folic acid levels were over triple the risk of developing dementia. They looked at 518 people between 2001 and 2003. This article came out in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry. They discovered that it played a major role in whether people had dementia or not. Now, another one that came out of the Journal of American Academy of Neurology. Let me give you a hypothesis here, and you fill in the blanks. All right, out of 118 people who took the supplement called ginkgo biloba, out of the people who took it, and the people who took the placebo. 14 individuals who took a placebo basically developed dementia past the age of 85. 7 of the people who basically took the placebo, did not take the placebo, took the ginkgo, developed dementia. Basically, you had half the people who reduced the risk of basically developing dementia that took the ginkgo. So basically, 14 people took placebo, developed dementia, only 7 took the ginkgo. They also discovered the people that were actually taken on a regular basis had a 68% reduction overall in dementia. However, the headline to the story from the Journal of American Academy of Neurology was ginkgo had no impact. You fill in the title and the topic sentence in that one. I'm not going to try to figure it out on its own. But they have the data in the study, February 27th, 2008. That study just came out yesterday. Now, for the more disconcerting news in regards to basically our environment as far as health. This came out basically in the approval of a medication that was designed for breast cancer. Now, take a scenario. You're head of the FDA. You're the FDA commissioner. You have a cancer drug which is seeking approval. It did not extend life expectancy. More people died that took it than didn't take it. Had toxic side effects and cost the user or the insurance company over $100,000 a year. Your FDA advisors advised against approving it. So what would you do in that situation? Sounds like a pretty slam dunk situation all around to me. No, FDA approved it, which is going to make a real interesting case because a lot of people are now beginning to worry that the FDA lowered their standards. Worried except for one group, the finance markets. And I say, quote, they responded in this like, investors had become worried that a more conservative FDA was going to start demanding overall survival data before approving any cancer treatments. That is considered to be a much higher bar than progression of free survival data or time patients live without their disease advancing. That means the drug doesn't have to help you live longer, does not have to help you live healthier. It just means that they were concerned that the FDA was going to start expecting results from some of these cancer medications. This is something to remember about this medication called Avastin. Keep in mind for yourself and your family, because guess what? Unless you research the information yourself and look into it, no one's going to help you on this. You've got to help yourself.
Thank you very much, Ralph. I appreciate your time in your research. Very worthwhile information. Thank you. And very disconcerting to hear how the FDA, who should be protecting the public, doesn't seem to be protecting at all. And this in light of other data and information that we've received. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us in Fit and Healthy today. We appreciate, we hope that this show offers you both information and pushes you to research further more information to help yourself. Thank you very much.